Larry from TechShare. Today, I'm going to continue with the article or the video that I started before. The first video was JSS, where I showed you guys how can you install JSS and how can you configure all the parts towards JSS so that you can start developing on JSS. So that I covered in the first video. I'm going to share the details link of that video in the description so that you can have a look on that if you are joining in this video. And this video would be really interesting, where I'm going to share you the structure of a project that we already created in the first video, a sample project in JSS or in Visual Studio Code, where we are going to describe all the folder structure, where why the folder structure being used in that way, and what would be the contents inside each of the folder. And also would like to show you how you can compose a component, and also I would like to show you guys how you get an idea about the client first approach versus server first approach or Sitecore first approach. So what is the difference, and how you actually can create the exact same thing that you developed in Sitecore approach. Because as a beginner, when I started developing in JSS, I also found it really complex. And yeah, I could not understand how we are going to create different renderings and how we are going to add all of those renderings in different placeholders to compose a page. So when we did implement all of those things in Sitecore, that was quite easy, and it was kind of our mindset where we understand how to do next, and this kind of thing. But when we jump into JSS, then it was quite difficult to understand that how you glue all the things together in order to compose a fully functional page. So that I'll cover a little bit about that, so that in the next video we can actually compose a page, fully functional page. I'll try to develop a small application where I'm going to show you, and even I will probably will show you the difference between those two. So we already developed a sample application in Sitecore in my first and second video. I'll also put inside the description about those link, so that you can guys have a look on that, where I actually use the Sitecore approach to develop a small application, and I am going to develop the same application in client first approach. So then it would be really clear for you guys. But today I'm going to describe a bit about the project structure and everything. So if I open the project that I created in the earlier video, so it was kind of the very basic project. So if you just run, so let me run again. So if I enter this as start, then we're gonna see the project starting. So let me do that. Okay, so here you go. So this is our project. There is nothing fancy here. This is just the default project that we have, default application. So it has okay, so now my first point is, so this is a page, right? So here you can see it has a consistent design, means kind of layout, we can say in Sitecore terms. So it has a layout where we can see this is the banner or navigation part, where we can actually jump into different pages. So if you click documentation, then you're gonna go the documentation page. Then again, if you click style guide, then you're gonna go the style guide page. So you can see here the page remains same. The top part or the navigation part remains same, but the content, or you can say so the component is changed. So yeah, I mean, we can also see you how we are gonna accomplish this kind of thing quite easily. So first and foremost, let's go to here and see, Okay, so this is kind of the default template or design that Sitecore gonna provide us. So let's go to this sample application and see what's going on inside this project. So let me collapse everything for a while. Okay, so when we create a Angular or React application, then we're going to have a default project structure or a structure or skeleton. So in this skeleton, we understand that there would be a source folder where you are going to have all the source means JavaScript file. So especially you're going to have this component where you're going to develop all the different components. Okay, so this is exactly same here, but there are a couple of folders that those are not there in a normal Angular or React project or template. So those are, for example, number one is definitely Sitecore, and also this data. So how does it mean by data and Sitecore? So that is something we need to discuss because it is really important. Okay, so in order to describe the data, I can simply tell you guys data is nothing but the data means the static data. So what is static data? So when we run the application, just think about this. When we run the application, then you're gonna see this welcome to Sitecore and all the data. So this application is not connected to Sitecore yet. Then how we are gonna get all those data? So this data actually we put inside the application so that we can run this application in a client side without connecting to Sitecore. So that's the default data or static data that we have. So inside the data folder, if we expand this routes, and for example, if you open on up the route file, then you're going to see, I'll describe this structure, don't worry about this, but see, this is the data that we're getting from. Okay, so this is kind of the representation of a item. So if you, for example, think about an item, home page item, for example, that item might have different fields, might have presentations, where you're going to have all the different components, right, or renderings. So everything is here. For example, you can see here all the different field and definitely the placeholders as well. So where we are going to place our renderings means here component. So in the placeholder, we can see we have a JSS main placeholder where we are going to glue our content block component. And inside the content block component, we have a content block component is nothing but another item. That item also contains couple of fields or some fields, whatever number of fields. So accordingly, we can use this structure. This is the YML format of representing data. So if you search in Google, then you will understand what is YML format and everything. Anyway, so we are going to give all the value of those particular fields here. Okay, so here what we don't provide is um, the real data. So this is all the static data you have. So we are providing placeholders and we are also providing the data, right? But what would be the design or rendering? So then you need to go this component. So for example, content block. So if you open the content block is a component. So you need to go to source folder and components, and here you're gonna find this content block, right? So if you click that content block, then this content block will give you a little presentation, a little rendering for you. So when we say, okay, this would be my content block, then whatever the HTML or anything we have in content block, for example, if I just here in the fragment, if I just write, hey, this is from content, for example, save it, and then inside this HTML, you can see my content is appearing right here. Okay, as this is my first line, so that's why it is appending as a first line. And then we have this welcome to Sitecore JSS. So where do we get this welcome to Sitecore JSS? Where this is only static data. So for example, you can see here in this fragment we have a field heading. So if field means this item has a heading, then we need to provide a value for that field. So in the Sitecore, when we deploy this application to Sitecore, then we're going to provide that value in Sitecore. When we write in that field, customized value we are going to give, and accordingly we are going to get. But here, where do you give that value here? So this is kind of our representation, static representation, where we are going to give this heading value here. So when you deploy this application to Sitecore, then definitely welcome to Sitecore JSS value will be there automatically, but you can change anytime through experience editor or content editor. Okay, but it's not connected mode, so you're gonna give you're gonna get everything static. So hope you understand now. So this is all about the data, and inside the data you have different folders, so you don't need to understand everything. But for example, routes means nothing but your routes. So currently, for example, this is your route routes means when application run like this, there is nothing, like nothing, right? So this is your route means whatever the thing you have in en, because by default it would be in English version of that page or of that item. So you're gonna get this one if you use DADK, for example, here. um, so yeah, so DADK is there, it's nothing, so it is quite empty. So that's why you can see nothing here. So you understand now. So for example, now in the so you have this GraphQL and style guide. So what would be the route for style guide? So there would be something style guide, right? So you don't need to mention any for E and UL, you don't need to mention that in the URL. So if you just type style guide, you're gonna get the style guide content from this ENYML. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so I believe you understand now this route and everything. And then the dictionary. So yeah, so dictionary is the dictionary. So this is the key and this is the value. So you can actually use this dictionary, and later on you can use that dictionary values from the key. So there is a syntax for that, so you will understand for that. And then content, and yeah, you don't need to understand much about other folders, but the very important now is this Sitecore folder. In the Sitecore folder you are going to have this definition, and definition is really important because uh, definition contains all the definition of a component means a item, I told before. So whenever this item will be transferred to Sitecore, accordingly all the field and everything we need to provide in the definition, and from there we are gonna get all the fields in Sitecore automatically generated. See, you understand. So for example, in the content block you can see we have two fields, so we define here those fields, therefore we can use those fields in our real component. So this is the definition component. So for example, this content block, we say okay, we have heading content, so you can anytime create another field, for example. So let's this, it means creating a field, nothing else. So if you see description and it would be this text, so it should be fine. Then what you can do is in this real component that is inside the source, here in the source you can see this is our content block component. So for example, here you can actually use this for example, okay, my my description block. So here you can say okay, description would be field does dsc. Okay, so now save this one. When you save, then you can see here, uh, let me go to here. So you don't see anything because this is only field, you need to provide the value now. So where you can provide the value, this description value here. So you go to data, and in the enyml, sorry, the route not style guide here. So here you can see here we have the field with some value we already provided, like heading and content. So let's give another here. Yeah, you have to maintain the alignment, this is really important. So for example, dsc and value, hey, this is a sample description. As soon as you save it, it will refresh, and in the end you'll see, hey, this is a sample description. Hope you see here, and my description block. This is also coming from this. My description block is coming from here, and after that we have the field description. So field description, we are giving this, hey, this is a sample description. So now you understand how it actually glue together and works together. Okay, so today I will also tell you about, okay, so I just tell you about the definition. So this is important definition, component definition. And again, we have the template definition, but this is something we'll discuss later because it's not that important. But very important thing is this placeholder settings and route setting. What is placeholder? Placeholder is something where you can define your different placeholders. So for example, if you if you want to need multiple placeholders, you have to design your layout, and then maybe you want 5 or 4 different placeholders. Okay, so we need to create the placeholder here. So any placeholder you're gonna create here, that will be created automatically inside Sitecore in the placeholder settings. So yeah, I mean, that is kind of the thing you need to do. So you need to define here, and then you can use. So for example, here we define JSS main a placeholder, and then we use that JSS main placeholder inside our data, and inside the data rows you can see here. So I tell this system or this page that, hey, this is my home page where I need a placeholder JSS main. Okay, inside the placeholder section. So this page will contain this JSS main, for example. And if you need another placeholder, then you can add another placeholder here, right here, or anywhere according to your design. So any placeholder you're going to mention here, for example, this is JSS main, that must have to be present inside the definition file of the placeholder site, the placeholders.sitecore.js, that file. And routes configuration should be, well, no need to think about much about this. So the next thing or final thing I am going to do today is to create a component, a new component, for example, banner component. And then I'm going to display that banner component here with some sample data, and then probably it would be really clear for you guys. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so let's create our first component. So for that, we have a command JSS scaffold, and then our component would be a banner component. So our intention for this banner component is to provide some values inside a banner. For example, we are going to create a banner in different pages. So we want to make sure that that will be controlled by a component so that we can reuse that um, as necessary. So you can think of a banner is like, in the Sitecore first approach, we have the renderings, right? So if you create a rendering, then we can attach that rendering in different placeholders in different pages whenever we need that. So similarly, here we are going to create a component whenever necessary. We will actually gonna use that on. So I'm gonna show you very soon. So a component is being created already, because see, it says the component created. Okay, so let me see here where we have the components here. Since a component file, we can see this is the index, and you can see it's there. Okay, fine. So this is the number 1, and the number 2 would be the definition. So in the definition of component, we also should expect a banner component definition is there. Okay, so we need to align our definition, because our idea is, in the first and second video I showed you how we can create a dynamic website through Sitecore, and all the content would be dynamically served by Sitecore. So there in we also created a banner where we have added couple of fields. So I'm going to use the same field. So for example, number 1 would be title. Okay, single line. So all would be single line text for now. So title number 1, number 2 is subtitle. Number three would be button text. And number four, a button URL. Okay, all good, done. So now jump into the banner component, and here we need to provide here inside this div. I'm going to remove this one. So we need to provide uh, the real design, real HTML of my banner. So what I can do, I already have a banner. How would it look like? Okay, maybe okay, just use like this. So there would be a h1, and say inside the h1 we're going to have a our title. So let me just rewrite this one. So we're going to have the title here. So but before that let me do one thing. We need to understand these fields, what we have inside the fields. So for that, let me just print console log the field, because then it would be helpful for us. Okay, so now this banner is there, component is there, definition also there, but we need to glue that inside a page. So this is our root here. So inside the main placeholders JSS main, let's add another component name would be our banner. Okay, and fields. Okay, so here we are actually component banner means the banner would be glued inside that page. Now we need to provide the value of those titles, subtitle, everything. Then we'll see inside the page. So fields, so for example, first is title. Title is sample banner. Okay. Subtitle would be, for example, a banner where a banner view, uh, a banner view. Yeah, I think button text would be go back. Button URL maybe slash home, for example. Okay, now save this one, and let me run. Oh, sorry, no. Let me run this start. Okay, see how it goes. Layout service runs, and we should see if everything works perfectly. Then we're gonna see a small design accordingly. Okay, so here see, hey, this is content. Okay, component name, banner, content block. Okay, oh, I don't see anything here. Okay, so there is no design, that's why we can't see anything. So here in the real design banner, we don't have any field here, so therefore we can't see. So we need to first see the log. So that was our purpose. So inside the log we can see there is object, and we can see here these fields has this button text, button URL, subtitle, title. So it is expectedly coming from our definition file. That is proved. So now we can see here inside the button text, we need to we can access the value. So button text dot value, button URL dot value. So whatever the value you see here, we actually provided those value inside our YML file here. This YML file, we provided those value, and automatically you can see the value coming here. So now we can actually use inside our component. So inside the component here, so now h on, we can say h on fields dot title dot value. Save it, and as soon as you save, you're gonna see the title is coming, sample banner. Cool. Then maybe we can say P. Inside the P, we can say fields dot subtitle dot value, for example. So a banner, okay. Hey, this is a banner view. The first one is sample banner, second one is banner view. Sample banner, a banner view. Correct? And again, we can, for example, put another P. Inside the P, just use is ref equal to, uh, let's use this, and then we can say uh, fields dot button URL. Okay, let me see in the log. It'll be easier. There are many places where you can see. Okay, so this is button URL dot value, and then here it would be fields dot button text. Save it. Go here. Okay, so it says that in 12. Okay, there is a problem because here you need to provide the value. Okay, awesome. So you can see here, let me do one thing. This div, just do, for example, style, and then um, maybe background. Style. I'm not sure how can I pass this style here. Style, style. Probably it's not possible. Style. Okay, okay, okay. So style, we can provide style something like this. Okay. So style would be double bracket like this. So here we can see double bracket, and then we can use um, the JSON kind of thing. So yeah, so background red should be fine now. Style red is okay. Background color, actually background color together. Blue color. Oh, sorry. A color we can say red like this. Yes. Yeah. So see, okay, let me do background color. BSCK. Background. Let me do, just to make sure that, okay. So now this is our component. This cyan colored one is our component where you can see it's coming. Okay. So now in the same way, if we have, for example, 5 components, okay, different components, and we can first create our components, okay, and then we can design our page, and we can put different placeholders in the page, and accordingly we can glue our components in different placeholders the exact same way that we did in Sitecore First Approach, but we are now here doing in Client First Approach. Okay, so that is something, a basic thing that we need to understand here when we are going to work in JSS. So I believe you guys now understand how actually in comparing to Sitecore approach, Sitecore First Approach to Client First Approach, what is the thing that is common. So this is something really common. Then in the next video, I'll deploy this application. I will actually briefly describe you all the items that Sitecore gonna create for this component of this application, and then I'll also briefly describe the renderings or the presentation that we're gonna have for this application or for this component, for this page even. So you will now you then actually understand what is going on there. And also I'll in the couple of videos I will actually try to develop a real designed application where you will understand how it works in JSS first approach or client first approach versus the Sitecore first approach. So for today, I believe the video is quite big, so I'm not going to make the video much bigger for now. So hope um, you will like this video, and if you like, then give me a thumbs up, and also subscribe my channel to get more videos in future. Okay, bye bye.